If you're about to be a bride or you just simply know someone who will be, please stay tuned for this show where you will learn a lot about helpful hints and a benefit program to help the bride in your life. Stay with us for Austin Faith Dialogue.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life. A series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Shane Whistler, your host for this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. And today we're talking about a big event for Austin Metropolitan Ministries. It's the Here Comes the Bride 98 Bridal Benefit Show. And with us in the studio to help us talk about this show, and in particular is about wedding dresses and flowers. At the moment we have David Davis. You are the new program director for Austin Metro Ministries.
That's correct, yes.
And with you we have Deborah Birch, who was here last year at the same time talking about this fun show. And Deborah Birch, you own I Do Wedding Gowns.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, David, we want to start with, first of all, what is an AMM program director? What does it mean when we talk about program director for you?
Well, AMM has a lot of programs. We're an organization of organizations, really. We call out to our faith community here, needs in the communities, and programs develop around those needs. We have about 6 very strong programs in diverse areas. We resettle refugees from Bosnia. We resettle folks from Vietnam and all around the world. We serve youth in need of mentoring. We serve elderly families in need of home repair and preserve affordable housing in the neighborhoods. We reach out to the homeless people on the streets and try to dignify life through our programs.
Wow. So that's a wide variety of opportunities and things to promote and to educate people about and how they can plug in. So how do you're not brand new to Austin, but you've been here a few years, and then you've just started this position with Austin Metro Ministries.
Right. I was the director of Hill Country Community Ministries out in North Austin for about 3 years before I took this position, and very excited to be here in Austin. A lot of good things developing in terms of community service. AMM has a cluster network of churches that are developing even new programs at the grassroots level in certain geographical communities. Right. And a lot of the things I learned at Hill Country are going to be able to be used here.
Great. Well, a lot of these programs, even if we're relying on volunteers, they can't run themselves. We need staff and we need organization, simple things like paper and copiers, and to support all these programs. So that's one reason we're here and have you here today, is talk about the bridal show, the benefit that's coming up. And we'll ask, we'll put up a screen right here of the poster that's advertising this bridal show. Here Comes the Bride 98, and it will be Sunday, August 30th. And just after church, for those people who go to churches on Sunday, because Austin Metro Ministries also supports interfaith, Jewish congregations, Hindu, a variety of expressions of faith. But on Sunday, 12:30 to 4:30, we'll want you to be at the, sorry, I have trouble reading that there. I'll tell you more. The Doubletree Hotel.
Yes.
In North Austin, just off I-35, and we'll show another screen later to give people. And for an $8 donation, we don't call that a fee, it's a donation, because we're supporting these programs you're talking about.
Exactly.
Good. Well, Deborah, let's move to you, and we have a special highlight in a moment to show folks some of the work that they can see at the show, I hope, as well as what do. You didn't always have a bridal shop and wedding gowns. How did this happen for you?
Well, I have sewn for a majority of my life. I started sewing as a young child, and When my daughter was of age to get married, I had always dreamed of making her gown, and that's what I did. It kind of launched me on this career. I started by doing custom wedding gowns, did that for a number of years, and realized that I had kind of found my niche. And so I did a transition to retail. And so now we have a full service retail salon. And we're in the Hyde Park Marketplace, which is centrally located at 4101 Guadalupe Street.
All right. Yeah. And you were here last year telling us about the show.
Yes.
And I don't think we should wait much longer to show one of the dresses. And so actually we're going to go ahead and ask Dara to come out and stand just right in front of us so that folks at home can see. And I'll let Deborah, you take it away and describe.
Okay. This is a gown by Demetrios. It is a popular style, sleeveless with a scoop neck, empire waistline. The skirt is made of chiffon. The flowing fabric is very popular these days. It has glass beading on the bodice. She's wearing sheer gloves to sort of accent the sheerness of this gown. And Dara, if you can turn around and show the back. It's a beautiful scoop neck with a cowl. That's the drape on the back of the dress. There's also a detachable train that's very popular in gowns these days because they can wear the train down the aisle for their ceremony, but when they're at the reception, go ahead and turn around there, they're free to move about by taking that train off, and they can have more flexibility and mobility at their reception.
Right.
Beautiful gown, and she's got a headpiece on as well.
Thank you very much, Dara, for giving your time and showing a beautiful dress. What about the range of dresses? I hear a lot of anxiety as a minister, and I've performed several wedding services, and not to mention being in a few weddings before and after ministry. It's there's a lot of stress involved around weddings. That's my number one concern. So what can you say about stress from your end of the wedding preparation?
Well, I think in any aspect of planning a wedding, a bride should, if she has the luxury, shop as early as possible, preferably 6 months out if she can. Also, to kind of make herself knowledgeable, she might read a few bridal magazines, take a look at styles that she likes, have some idea of what she's looking for. Take a trusted friend with you, someone whose opinion you value, to go with in the shopping experience, and ask your professional questions. Ask about alterations, ask about different styles that are available. And as far as the range is concerned, we do from $400 to about $1,200 gowns in our shop. And that generally doesn't include the alteration price, which is a very big part of it. They're standard sizes, so it takes a little while in adjusting them to the bride.
Right. I want to play the part of the worried minister or rabbi or even justice of the peace conducting the ceremony, because I really do worry about couples getting married. There seems to be a lot of pressure about who's telling you what to wear and what to do, and you may experience some of that in your shop, that there's pressure on the bride. And you seem, because you started this from your own daughter's wedding, it sounds like you have a very compassionate heart about what would you say about those people feeling pressured to buy a certain gown? What do you want them to do?
I think they should, first of all, please themselves and their families, but also know what might be required of them. There are some restrictions for brides. We always do ask what their setting is. Is there something that is acceptable or non-acceptable, and to dress appropriately? I think it's a great glimpse into what marriage is all about, because there will be concessions that they have to make, and then there will also be circumstances where they need to assert themselves. So just be knowledgeable of what's expected.
Right. Good. Well, I'm going to jump back because I want to keep the focus here on both issues here. One is Austin Metropolitan Ministries and the variety of both faith groups as well as the programs, and how this bridal show is helping support that with people coming and giving an $8 donation. We'll talk about the specifics of the show on the August 30th in just a moment after the next segment. But what would you say, I was talking about you not being necessarily new to Austin, but when you move to a city like this, there's so much to do, and there's a lot of fun things to do, but people don't realize, I think, sometimes there's more fun to Austin than 6th Street. Although live music is wonderful, it's phenomenal, but what would you encourage folks to do if they've moved into Austin as far as the programs?
Well, plugging in with a volunteer commitment is a great way to introduce yourself to the town and to really make a difference here, to really move in. And our programs offer a variety of ways. One is through renovating a home in need of repair in parts of Austin that have a lot of need. Two times a year we mobilize volunteers, and we've renovated over 60 houses this year alone.
And that's called hands-on housing?
That's hands-on
Is that
housing.
spring and fall approximately?
Spring and fall
Okay.
at this time, and plans are underway to make that a year-round program. We are expanding all our programs. In fact, our budget has increased from $300,000 to nearly $1 million worth of programming this year.
That's
with
great.
this adopted
And we know
budget.
there's that much need in Austin for.
Certainly is. Another program that we have coming up is a life story program that is kind of a follow-up to some of the work we've done with hands-on housing. We're going to be training volunteers to go and interview people from different places in the community to elicit their story, and we're going to have a celebratory event in the fall that kind of chronicles the life of people in this area. Great. And that's part of our work with older adults through our Older Adult Commission.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're excited about that, and it's easy to be when you love people and serving people, and you can help a variety of people plug in, whether they're born in Austin or moved here last week. That's great. Well, thank you, David, for the work you do. And I do want to go back to Deborah to ask you specifically before we end this segment, what will be at the show in the way of, because you were at last year's show,
Yes.
Bridal show,
Yes.
what will you have there and what will other vendors have there?
We primarily will do a runway show so that the brides can take a look at the gowns that are available. There, of course, will be many vendors, photographers and florists. There'll be caterers and that sort of things. A segment of each part of planning the wedding, which is wonderful to have all in one spot. We don't sell products there, merchandise there. We don't like impulse buys, and so we encourage the brides to jot down notes about what they see and then come on into the store so that we can spend a little more time with them, get to know them a little bit better, and assist them with their needs.
Well, that sounds like a great relief right there. They can really get to know people and products and services
Yes.
without being sold something.
Exactly.
So I think it's a very important point to make. They don't need the extra pressure. This is actually
true.
this is a service to support people.
Yes, it is.
Because a wedding's can be so much fun, and if we plan, I know the three most important words.
That's right.
And in a moment, we're going to talk about planning for churches and temples and what needs to be done. So, David, you've encouraged people to join volunteer programs and actions. We're going to show numbers at the end of the program to call, but do they need to call you or just call the AMM number that they'll see here at the break?
If they call the AMM number, their call will be forwarded to the appropriate program, but they can always ask for me.
Okay, so they can ask for if I want to help on hands-on housing, or could they call up and say, where do you need the most help? And
That's
can
the
you
kind of
steer them
call
the right
we
way?
like to have.
All right. Okay, you hear that, folks? I hope they do. To call Austin Metropolitan Ministries and say, where do you need the most help? Please stay with us, because there are many more details to share with you about the upcoming Bridal Benefits Show, and we are glad to have you with Austin Faith Dialogue. Thank you for staying with us of this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. We're talking about a very important program, Austin Metropolitan Ministries in general, and there are many ways of serving the community. And specifically, we need to support those programs, and we are having a bridal show. Here Comes the Bride, 98. That's Sunday, August 30th in the afternoon, and we'll show you more about that in a moment. And here in the second segment, we want to introduce to you Heidi Gibbons, who is the Development Director at Austin Metropolitan Ministries, and Kobe Neal, who runs a flower shop. And could you tell us the name of your shop?
The Flower Studio.
The Flower Studio,
Right.
perfectly named. And we'll get a few more details of those beautiful roses in just a moment. But Heidi, as you heard us talking to David earlier about the programs, these programs don't run by themselves, and so
That's right.
fundraisers have to happen. For some people that's a dirty word, but for you I don't think it is.
Well, I believe in having fun in what you're doing, and the Here Comes the Bride 98 is certainly going to be a fun afternoon for everybody.
What we want to, actually we'll ask to go ahead and put a screen up to tell people exactly where that is. We can't say that enough because it only happens once a year, and this is the second one ever. Is that correct?
That's right, for Austin
For
Metropolitan
Austin
Ministries.
Metropolitan Ministries, certainly. So we see for people to come to the DoubleTree on North I-35 just in a couple of weeks, Sunday, August 30th from 12:30 to 4:30. It's a good period of time, 4 hours, and as we heard Deborah say, that people aren't pressured to buy products and services,
That's right.
and they're there to learn.
That's
So
right.
what can you give us the rundown of what you will have at this show?
Yeah, basically, if you are planning a wedding and if you want to find everything in one spot, this is going to be a wonderful way to do it, a fun, convenient way to do it. We will have a variety of wedding businesses there, ranging from bridal gowns, tuxedos, flowers, photographers, video, cakes, catering, invitations, announcements, everything you can think of, live music. We will have lots of live music. We will have a harpist. We will have a wonderful man playing baby grand piano as everybody comes in. There will be people to answer every question that you have. There will be samples to taste, lots of door prizes, and also some very special speakers, including my partner here. And at the very end of the show, we will have Kay Powers, from who is a columnist with the Austin American-Statesman, speaking on love and marriage, a very timely topic. And when she finishes, we will do a drawing for a very special grand honeymoon trip to Cancun, courtesy of Tramex Travel.
That's great.
And in addition, we will also be providing information on weddings from congregations in the community.
Right. We want to talk about the range of those requirements in just a moment. Do want to say this is the bridal show, so does that mean if you're a groom you shouldn't bother?
Please come, please come. We will have a special 10-minute segment of grooms in wonderful tuxedos, and you don't want to miss it.
So there's a runway show featuring the beautiful gowns such as we saw Dara
That's right.
wearing earlier, and
That's right.
also tuxedos.
Right, and actually there's going to be 2 30-minute fashion shows
Okay. So
with
there's-
lots of time in between to talk to people.
So it sounds like in addition to an $8 donation to Austin Metropolitan Ministries that supports all the programs we heard David talk about, all people need to bring is a fun attitude and maybe a little notepad, because it sounds like there's a lot to learn here
That's
that
right.
will really help people.
Well, and we're also encouraging brides, bring your family members, bring your wedding party members.
Yeah,
And yes, the groom is welcome.
right. I've seen a lot of brides carry the burden by themselves almost sometimes, just by things get the ball rolling on the details, and you get swept up in all the plans, and they haven't asked anybody else to help them out.
That's right.
And I know certainly the maid of honor or matron of honor helps a great deal, and mother of the bride, but I think we need a little more help than that, and this show
Well, they really
cover the
do,
bases.
and I look at this show not only as a fundraiser for Austin Metropolitan Ministries, but as a service to the brides of Austin to help them get organized so they can think about the seriousness of marriage and their wedding vows and what they're doing.
Okay, great. Well, we don't want these flowers to wilt in the Texas heat before we
sure
get to
don't.
talk about them, although it's more comfortable here in the studio. Kobe Neal, you own the Flower Studio and you design, and you can tell us a lot about flowers in general. Tell us specifically these and what you will bring to the show.
Well, I brought this along today to just kind of show brides a very contemporary look. We've seen a drastic change in wedding gowns over the last 2 or 3 years. We're seeing very simple wedding gowns nowadays, and I think the flowers need to reflect that that look of simplicity. And we have what we call just a very simple little clutch bouquet, which is just a composition of beautiful Anna roses. We've accented it with just a little starburst of the natural green eucalyptus, highlighted it with soft organza French ribbon, and I just want to turn this around here, and we just add sort of a touch of intimacy in our bouquets. We've added the little pearl-headed pins going all the way up the clutch of stems, which I think just makes it a complete little package for the bride to carry. It's a bouquet that can actually be carried with 2 fingers, and I was just noticing how beautiful it was against the bridal gown a few moments ago. And I have a lot of brides come in, and one of the first questions they'll ask me is, should we carry something that's colored, or should we carry something that's just totally white as tradition? And believe me, we're seeing more and more color being chosen by the brides to carry, rather than just your solid white bouquets.
How long have you run the shop and
I've
been involved with flowers?
I've been actually involved in flowers way too long, almost 30 years. So I've done probably thousands of weddings in my career. So big ones, small ones, and the bride that walks in the door is always special.
Okay. And will you have a table at the show, or will you be there as one of the featured speakers?
I'll be speaking, and I'll also have a table, and we'll probably display between 15 and 20 different types of bridal and bridesmaids bouquets, headpieces, lots of photographs from previous weddings to show our work, and it's an exciting day. I love this show because it gives me the opportunity to meet almost individually with each bride that comes through, and just have a brief little conversation and perk up her interest and enthusiasm.
Right. And the show is a different feel than someone realizing, oh, I need to order the flowers, and they rush to your shop and start that. And so the show is a relaxed setting.
Yes, it is, right. Okay. The show is just a wealth of information for brides. I find that a lot of young brides that are just starting out really don't have the adequate information to really pull off a complete wedding. So the shows are wonderful as far as really introducing and getting out some adequate information for new brides to go down the path and find out what it's all about, and explore the different photographers and caterers and florists and bridal gowns, and it's a complete package within 4 hours. We have a good time.
It sounds good. How, as far as people actually picking out and coming to you to talk about, or any other person in the business, how many weeks, months, how early should people do this?
Well, we had over 10,000 brides in the Austin area last year, so that's a whole bunch. And my feelings are the sooner they do it, the better off they'll be. Especially in booking your ceremony sites, your reception sites, your photographer, and the people that are really playing an important part in completing your wedding.
Right. 10,000 brides, is that what you said?
10,000 brides in the Austin area. Isn't that
Central
amazing?
Texas, 10,000 brides.
There were lots of wedding bells.
That is amazing. So, and something we were talking about before the program, that everyone has flowers, whether it's just a simple handheld bouquet for the bride or a very elaborate, beautiful display. So it can be as simple or as elaborate as tastes and budgets allow.
That is exactly right. Sometimes we'll have a bride choose to carry a single rose, just a total statement of simplicity, whereas there's not an end to the budget for other brides. And then, of course, the average bride is conservative towards her budget, and we try to be as helpful and concerned for that budget as possible.
Okay, good. Well, they can certainly come and see your photos and flowers and listen to your speaking engagement there as well. But again, this bridal show is about fundraising, Heidi, and you're with Development AMM. Is this the only way Austin Metropolitan Ministry can raise funds to have a show like this once a year?
Well, no. This is a lot of work, but this is one of many things that we do. Some other things that we've done in the community during the year is we do an annual reception to recognize volunteers in the community called Evening at Omlof, and we usually do that as a spring event at the Omlof Sculpture Gardens. And then following this event, we will be doing an annual pledge walk at St. Edward's University called Walking the Walk. We also have our end of the year appeal, and we accept donations all year long.
Right. So we need people to volunteer their time, talent, and energy, just like any other faith-based organization.
sure.
It takes people with open hearts and minds.
That's right.
And we joke about the open wallet too, but it's a very practical part of everything from papers to pens to very detailed travel arrangements and whatever it takes to make ministry happen.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say also with the show, a lot of people are really giving so much time, and we're getting so much support from the community, and we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's great.
And we couldn't do this without, for instance, the Doubletree Hotel Austin is donating the space for this show, and we're very grateful for that.
That's what it takes. We want people to go and pay attention to these vendors that have donated their time. And,
Well, and
they're
these,
not making the
these
sales.
vendors,
I want to stress that because that's
right,
just you can't think of anything that's remotely similar to a trade show where you're not being pushed with free
right,
samples
there
and
won't
sign
be
up.
any pressure.
Right.
And everybody is a professional involved with this. Many of the vendors have been recommended by other vendors and by other wedding professionals, and you know, they all have many years of experience, and they really are there to help the bride. And I really do look at this as a fundraiser, but as a service to the brides.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's coming up soon because the month will be finished before we know it. So August 30th, we need to say that again.
Right.
Just an $8 donation at the door. It's the only place to get tickets.
That's
at
right.
the door. There's plenty of space for people to come and to park, and the ballroom is a wonderful place.
And also I could use a few volunteers if anybody would like to help
Okay.
with the show. It'll be fun.
Good, yes. So those of you watching, please call that number at the bottom of your screen to volunteer, or if you simply want more information, because none of this works without volunteers on a variety of
right.
levels. So, well, Heidi, I'm so grateful for your role at Austin Metropolitan Ministries. This program is obviously a function of that wide variety of ministry.
Thank you.
And also for able volunteers like Kobe to come forth and give a little education and encouragement along the way on details like weddings. And we just have a second, but I do know that you told me there's a variety of requirements for churches, so people need to call churches or temples and find out what they need to do. So we are glad you've joined us here at Austin Faith Dialogue. Please be with us again, and peace be with you.